3 months ago, I was sitting in a hospital room while everyone around me thought I was figuring out how to survive. I wasn't. I was making a list. Not a bucket list. Not a list of regrets. A list of people, and next to each name, I was writing a number. A dollar amount. A piece of land. A piece of me. I was deciding who deserved everything I had built. And what I found out about the people I love and myself over those weeks changed every relationship I have. Some people got more than they expected. Some people got nothing. And one person, someone I called my closest friend for 15 years, I crossed off entirely. Stay with me. Because by the end of this, you're going to look at the people around you very differently. It started with what I thought was stress. Chest pressure. Fatigue so heavy I'd fall asleep mid-sentence. I ignored it for 2 months. Because that's what we do, right? We push through. Then one Thursday morning I woke up and couldn't feel my left arm. At the hospital, the doctor used a word I didn't expect. Not heart attack. Not anxiety. A word that meant my body had been sending SOS signals for a long time, and I'd been muting every one of them. I won't get into the specific diagnosis, that's not really the point of this. What matters is what happened in my head when the doctor left the room and I was alone. The first thing I thought wasn't, am I going to die? It was. Does anyone actually know what I want to happen to everything I've built? The answer was no. And then, and this is the part one wasn't expecting, I realized I didn't even know what I wanted. So I started figuring it out. Right there, in that hospital bed, with a legal pad a nurse brought me and a pen that barely worked. I started making the list. Here's what nobody tells you about making decisions like this, about who gets what when you're gone. It's not really about money. Money is just the measuring stick. What you're actually doing is asking yourself, who showed up? Who did I become more myself around? Who made me smaller? The first person I wrote down was my sister. We'd had a falling out 5 years ago. One of those stupid, slow-building family fights that nobody remembers how it started but everybody remembers that it happened. We weren't not talking, but we weren't really talking either. When I was in that hospital bed thinking about her, I didn't think about the argument. I thought about her dropping everything to drive 4 hours to pick me up when my car broke down in college. At 2 a.m. She didn't even ask questions. She just said, I'm coming. I wrote her name down and circled it. Then I thought about my business partner. Someone I've worked side by side with for 6 years. Someone I've made real money with. Someone I've celebrated wins with and survived losses with. And when I sat with the question, does this person deserve a piece of what I've built? I felt something I didn't expect. Hesitation. Not because he's a bad person. But because I started asking why I hesitated, and the answer was uncomfortable. Because his support had always been conditional on things going well. When deals closed, he was the first to celebrate. When things got hard, when I went through my divorce, when I lost a parent, he got quiet. Disappeared into busy. I hadn't let myself see that clearly before. Because we were making money, and making money makes it easy to not look too closely at people. But sitting there with nothing to do except think clearly for the first time in years, I saw it. I went down the list like this. Name by name. Memory by memory. Not asking, do I love this person? Because love is complicated and messy and it doesn't always mean what we think it means. I was asking something harder, who actually sees me? And here's what the list showed me. What genuinely surprised me. The people I thought were my inner circle? Weren't. The people I'd taken for granted, the ones who didn't have fancy titles or big personalities or post about our friendship on Instagram, those were the ones whose names I circled without hesitation. Now I have to tell you about the person I crossed off. I'm not going to say his name. He doesn't deserve that kind of attention in my story. We'd been friends for 15 years. He was at my wedding. I was at his. We had a standing monthly dinner. He knew things about me that I haven't told my own family. When I got to his name on the list, I expected to feel warmth. Maybe even gratitude. Instead, I felt tired. And I sat with that for a long time. Why tired? I started pulling up specific memories. Not the highlight reel, the real memories. The time I called him when my marriage was falling apart, and 10 minutes into the conversation, he steered it back to a problem he was having at work. The time I told him I was thinking about leaving my industry to do something that actually mattered to me. And instead of asking what I meant, he immediately listed 5 reasons it was a bad financial decision. The time he made a joke at my expense in front of a group of people, and when I told him later it bothered me, he told me I was being sensitive. One time each I can forgive. People have bad days. People aren't always at their best. But the pattern, I'd been excusing it for years because the friendship was comfortable, and comfort is a powerful drug. Here's what I know now that I didn't know before. A long friendship is not the same as a good friendship. Time spent together is not the same as investment in each other. History is not the same as intimacy. I crossed his name off the list. And I felt, I want to be honest with you, I felt guilty. Because 15 years. Because shared memories. Because who am I to decide someone doesn't deserve a place at the table of my life? But then I thought, I almost died. I might still. And the most precious thing I have to give isn't money or property. It's my remaining energy. My attention. My presence. And I realized I'd been spending all of it on the wrong accounts. I want to give you something you can actually use from this. Because I think most people are walking around with the wrong people in their inner circle, and they won't find out until something forces them to look. Here's what I call the hospital bed test. Before I tell you what it is, understand that you don't have to be sick to take it. You can take it right now. The test is this: imagine you're in a hospital bed. Not dramatically dying, just slowed down. Out of the noise of normal life. You have a legal pad and a pen. You start writing names. For each name, ask 3 questions. 1. When things were hard for me, not a crisis, just hard, did this person show up? Not perfectly. Not with the right words. Just, did they show up? 2. Can I tell this person the truth about my life, the ugly parts, the embarrassing parts, the scared parts, and trust that they'll still see me clearly? 3. After I spend time with this person, do I feel more like myself or less? That's it. 3 questions. The people who get a yes to all 3, those are your inner circle. Those are the people who deserve your most precious resources, your time, your trust, your energy. Everyone else, and I say this with love, is an acquaintance. Even if you've known them for decades. Even if you've shared a lot. Even if it feels harsh to say it. Acquaintances are fine. Life is full of them. You don't have to cut everyone off or make dramatic announcements. But you do have to stop giving people inner circle access when they've only earned outer circle behavior. The second thing I learned, and this one was harder to accept. I was also the wrong person in some people's inner circles. I had relationships where I was the taker. Where I showed up when things were good and went quiet when they needed me. Where I kept score instead of keeping faith. The hospital bed doesn't just show you who your people are. It shows you who you've been. And if you're honest, really honest, it shows you who you still have time to become. I'm okay, by the way. Not 100%, probably never exactly who I was before. But I'm here. I'm walking. I'm working. I'm having conversations I should have had years ago. My sister and I talk every week now. Real conversations. Not the surface stuff. I told 2 people on that list what they meant to me out loud, with words, not in a will. That was terrifying. And necessary. And the friend I crossed off, I haven't ended the friendship dramatically. I've just stopped investing in it. I stopped initiating. And quietly, over the last few months, it's drifted to where it probably should have been a long time ago: distant, cordial, not intimate. That's not cruelty. That's honesty about what something actually is versus what you've been pretending it is. Here's what I want to leave you with. You don't need a diagnosis. You don't need a hospital bed. You don't need a near-death experience to do this work. You just need 30 minutes and a legal pad. Write the names. Ask the questions. And then, and this is the part most people skip, actually act on what you find. Because here's the truth nobody says out loud. The way you spend your time and your energy is the truest will you'll ever write. Every single day, you're deciding who gets the best of you. The question is, are you deciding on purpose? I'll see you in the next one.